everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Matt Chat Live. I'm Matt, and I'm here with my friend Naeem. And how are you today, buddy?
I'm great, Matt. Thanks for having me on. I'm happy we getting to do this together.
Yeah, me too. And you're coming from Puerto Rico today, right?
I'm over in Rincon, Puerto Rico.
Awesome, man. What brings you there?
I just love the warm weather and the beach, man. I always wanted to live on a beach on a tropical island, and I said Puerto Rico's still close enough to home where it's not too far away to go see family. So,
yeah, no doubt, it is a beautiful place to live. Mm-hmm. And I've seen you do a lot of videos when you're walking on streets and beaches and whatnot, and stuff. When you're back in the States, you walk along and do your thing with folks, right? So, Why don't we just get a chance to introduce yourself a little bit to folks here today? Tell them who you are, what you do, and kind of what you're here for.
Absolutely, man. So I am a performance coach, and I train business owners and also just people in their personal life as well on how to optimize their performance. And it really starts with your mindset, right? Which is why we connected, right? I know you're all about that as well. So I love that we're aligned on that. But we really help people get the results they want, whether that's in their business, on their sales end, or their teamwork, or whatever it is, right? Leadership, and also on a personal level, right? Everybody has different things they're focused on, whether that's their health, whether that's their relationships, whether that's money. But I got into it basically. So when I left school 12 years ago now, I'm 34. I went to NYU. I studied economics there. And originally I was working on Wall Street. I worked in the hedge fund world. I worked in kind of the big finance world. And this is in 2008 when the market crashed. So I was kind of coming out of interesting.
Oh, wow, the best time ever, right?
Right, exactly. All my economics professors are saying you should look for a job overseas. But I was lucky enough to get a job down on Wall Street. But it wasn't really what I wanted to do. So I started reading books and tried to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. And I started reading about personal growth. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. It was a foreign concept. Like I could make my life how I want to make it. It's like, what do you want? Like it's a basic question, but to me that wasn't so basic, right? So yeah. I started thinking about that stuff. I hired a coach, and then to make a long story short, I just got more and more into it. It changed my life radically. I traveled around the world, which is something I always wanted to do. Started my own company, which I'm still running now, of course. And now I'm training coaches as well in a company called Performance Coach University, where we certify and train them and help them build their coaching business as well. And that's how we got to connect too. So I'm happy we're doing this now because I love what you're up to, and I love to connect and add more value together and reach more people together.
Yeah, no doubt. That was a quick snapshot of who you've been, where you've been at since school, which is awesome. Yep. Yeah, we meet through that platform. And I've always enjoyed our conversations. And I also enjoy the way in which you were able to communicate to me. I knew there were certain things that you were going to say and do, right? How you're going to navigate those waters. And it was always pretty awesome. One thing I liked about you is that you always have been yourself, you know.
Nice. Thank you.
Even when you had to, tighten the reins a little bit or put me up against a wall a little bit a couple of times to say some things to me, it was, I could tell that it was for real. It wasn't just, just because you're trying to make a sale, right?
Yeah.
I think that's a big difference. So a lot of times folks wrestle with that in the world here in business, especially during the time of COVID. And it's been a bit lean for a lot of different people. Some folks it's been fantastic. Some other folks not so much. And sometimes folks don't know exactly what to say or how to say it or how to press in or how to let go, right? There's all these issues that happen. And I know that's some of the things that you're really good at and things that you help teach through your own business and as well as through the coaching you're providing. So I think it's fun for that matter. So give us a little bit of idea about the Performance Coaching University first, and then we'll lean into a little bit about who you are in your own business as well, because for folks that don't know about that university and who even leads that university, I think they might be interested to find out what that's all about.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. And I appreciate what you said about earlier and just now what you just said about our previous interactions. And part of it is because I knew you could handle it too. Well, coaching is first coaching is about being real and direct, right? So it's not always so pleasant to if you have a good coach, right? Sometimes they got to be direct and it doesn't feel good in the moment, but that's how you make change, right?
Right.
But it doesn't also mean that you want to be mean to somebody, right? It's really just being a solid leader, right? Leadership there's a price to leadership. And as you know, right, you lead a team and you're a great coach as well. But I also with you too, I knew you can It depends on the person I'm talking to, right? I know some people can kind of take the realness a little more than others. So I appreciate you playing with me and not getting, most people get offended by that kind of stuff, right? So I knew you could take it though. So, but in terms of now people think I'm like the biggest jerk in the world, right? When I was talking to you. Like, what did I say to Matt?
That's right. No, he wasn't bad. It wasn't bad, folks. It was just It was challenge. It was challenge.
Yep. But basically, so Performance Coach University is where we certify and train people to become world-class performance coaches and really impact people's lives, right? Again, this is just like any industry, right? There's like Mike, you can call yourself a basketball player, but then there's like Michael Jordan and there's like everybody else, right? So I'm not saying I'm Michael Jordan. I'm just saying I don't care. There's so many coaches now. And this is what I like. A lot of people talk, but I don't care what you say. I care, like, if it's a basketball metaphor, if you get on the court, then your game does the talking. So same with coaching, right? There's so many people saying, I'm this coach, I'm that coach. I could do this, I could do that. But at the end of the day, you got to test out, see who's good, see if it's the right fit. And also ultimately it's about getting results, right? So again, people could talk all day, but ultimately the best coaches that we know of, they're the ones that produce results for people, right? So we really want to make sure the coaches that come through our program, they are equipped with that skill set. And it's not just learning it up here. It's about a lot of it. It's training, right? It's practice and it's consistent training. One of our mottos is the training never stops. So every day, I don't care how good you are, you got to keep on growing to the next level. The best ones like Kobe and LeBron, they're training harder than everybody, even though they're already at the top of their game, right? So we train coaches, we certify them, we teach them, of course, so we coach them really. And then we also help them for the people that want to build a business and get clients. So that's what it's really about. It's not about making money. That's part of it too, of course, but it's about changing lives, right? So it's kind of, if you do the thing, if you kind of set it up properly, you're going to have huge impact. You can make great money, but you're also going to really do what we're meant to do, which is really impact people's lives around the world, especially now with COVID more than ever. It's really important. The suicide rates are up, depression is up, like alcohol abuse, drug abuse, domestic abuse, all those things are up because of people being home alone or with their family kind of cramped up. And the biggest fear people have is not public speaking or snakes. It's being alone with their own thoughts, right?
Yeah. That's a big difference these days for sure.
Yep.
And that organization you're part of, did you start there? I never did ask that question. Did you start there as a client and then became a coach, or did you start off as looking for a job there, got hired on, or how that work out?
Yeah. So what happened with me? So after I left Wall Street, then I traveled and started my own company, and then I worked for Tony Robbins because I'm like, hey, I love coaching, but I also want to learn from the best, right? I remember maybe Richard Branson or somebody said, hey, the best way to get good at something is go work for somebody that's really good and you get paid to learn, right? So I got paid to learn from the best coach in the world, right? So I did that for 4 years. And then I knew Tony had a son, Jarek. And I'm like, hey, he might be good. Not always, right? Michael Jordan's kids aren't as good as Michael Jordan in basketball, right? So it doesn't always mean that. But I'm like, hey, let me call this guy. Let me see if he's any good. And I saw his website. Like, oh, I'm better than this guy, right? I'm like a 26-year-old kid, right? And then he calls me. I'm like, I didn't expect him to call me for my coaching call, for the intro call. And he called me. I'm like, oh, is this Jarek? And he's like, yeah. And you could just feel the presence of people on the phone, right? So he was just like, I was like, oh, wow. Right away, I'm like, this guy's the real deal. And I could just feel it, right? So we had a great coaching call. I hired him as a coach, and he's still my coach. So the reason I bring that story up, though, is that's how I got to PCU, because Performance Coach University is Jarek's program. And Jarek helped me radically change my life as a coach, and he's still helping me change my life as I keep on going, which I'm so grateful to him for. So I heard about Performance Coach University through him because it's his program. And once he said that, I'm like, yeah, for sure. I want to do that because I knew all of his stuff was great so far. So I enrolled in that. It helped me grow my business. I never worked for PCU. I went through the program and now I have a partnership with them, right? So I just have my own company called Mood Ventures. Again, we do business coaching, one-on-one coaching, group coaching. And then with Performance Coach University, I help them build their business too. And they're technically kind of a client, but not I get the benefit really, because I get to see how Jarek runs his business and how they grow. And just being attached to a solid organization like that, you can imagine if you're like an athlete being associated to like a Nike, it's kind of cool. You get to like get that lift. So for me personally, I always tell the students too, I'm like, you get to be part of a brand and really an environment and a community of people playing the game at a high level. And then you're either going to level up or you're just going to fall off. There's no real in between, right? So for me, that's really the huge piece behind that. So I'm really honored and grateful to be able to have that partnership with them.
Yeah, no doubt. What a great opportunity for you. And then obviously for everybody else that you're able to interact with, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Then you talked about your company, which is, I got website right here, which is your name.
Yep.
So tell us a little bit about your company again. You said a few things, and right here I've got off of your LinkedIn profile. By the way, folks, you can find them on LinkedIn pretty easily as well.
Yep.
But you help businesses, brands, and individuals achieve rapid, measurable improvements in work and life through keynote speaking and business performance coaching. So that's a quick snapshot. I mean, there's a lot more than that to it, but tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I call it the mood mastery method. And one of my big things I learned working with Tony is 80% of success. I think honestly more, but it's really arbitrary, but 80% of success is mindset. 20% is the mechanics. And most people, they start with the mechanics, right? It's like, oh, I want to lose weight. I want to build a business. I want to make more money. They go read a book. They go talk to somebody. They're like, oh, here's what you got to do. Here's the workout. Here's the diet plan. And why do they never work most of the time? Or why do they work for a little bit and then they stop and then they fall back, right? So it's not the knowledge. Everybody knows how to get fit and healthy, but more than ever, most Americans are overweight, right? Maybe 60%, 70%. It's crazy, but it's not that hard, right? So it's not knowing what to do. It's doing what you know, right? So what I do, I work with business owners, then I work again with people in their personal life. But basically with business owners, same thing, right? Business owners hire us in. When I worked for Tony, same now, they'd be like, hey, I got to get my sales team to perform better. I got to get my team to communicate better. I got to get my people to show up and want to work and get to work on time, right? And again, it's not forcing them. It's not even incentivizing them with money. It's really figuring out what's going on behind their mindset. And everybody's different, of course, right? So it's kind of, for me, I love it because it's kind of like a little puzzle and like a formula to figure out, and it's different for everybody. And there's patterns. And the cool thing is though, once you get good at figuring out these patterns, you can help people get the results that they want. That for them, it was like, oh my God, it's so hard, right? And it kind of is impossible if you don't know what you're doing. But if you know what you're doing, kind of like magic, if you see a magician, you're like, holy crap, that's amazing. But if you really see how they do it, like really, that was so easy, right?
Right.
So, or same with like coding a computer, right? Coding a computer seems really hard, but it's, if you know how to do it, it's like, oh, cool. I got to put this dash here, this semicolon here, and then I got a website. Right? The strategy piece too. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I lost you for just a second, but we got you back.
Okay. So what we do is, again, I go in there and work on the mindset. The strategy comes too. Like, of course, we know sales strategies, marketing strategies, whatever the strategy is, losing weight, making more money. But again, we start with the foundational core of it, because most people, they miss that part, right? They go straight for the results they're after. But again, if they don't have the foundation set, that's how most people spin their tires and they don't really get very far.
Totally agree. I've had a client like that recently and wanted to scale the business and do all kinds of great things, make more money and do better and have things work for him better. But if you're not willing to look at the foundation of things and what does a goal mean to you? How you perceive certain things? How do you plan things out, right? If you don't know those things, you're never going to be able to do the other stuff. It's just never going to work, right? So it takes a lot of work, even if you think you already know it. It's just like, well, I don't think so, because then you wouldn't be hiring me to scale. That's another story. So here's a fun little. Have you ever watched The Office before?
Yeah, I love that show. Steve Carell. I don't watch it too much, but my brother's a big fan of it, and I love it. It's really funny.
It is a funny show. So here's a big zinger I'll throw at you real quick. So if you were hired to come in and do team management with the folks on The Office, what would some of the things be that you would do coming into that scenario? Yeah,
that's a great question. So I don't know enough about the contact. Well, I do. I know it's like a big jokester, like farm over there, like Steve Carell and what's the other guy, young guy's name, with like he kind of bullies people and picks on in a funny way.
Yeah. I just forgot his name. He's a comedian guy still now today, but I know what you're talking about. But
But I think so. I don't know the content of like the kind of the dynamics of it, but I do get the gist of it. So I'm going to answer the question. So what I would do with them, if what's the goal? If it's to improve their performance or what?
Yeah, team performance.
That's a good question because they're such jokesters, right? And they're always humorous.
Yes.
So the first thing I would do is really figure out. Well, one is I'd be funny with them, right? Because it sounds like they're a culture of humor, right? So I'd build rapport and connect with them, right? But I'd be like, hey, I'm like you, right? Like let's have a good time because it seems like that's like a value for them, right? They really enjoy having a good time together. And then what would I do? Man, maybe I would do a fun like either maybe like a physical challenge, like an obstacle course or like maybe take them skydiving or something cool to get them out of their comfort zone a little bit and get them out of their normal kind of pattern of like how they operate. And then honestly, I don't know enough about what's going on there, but then I would just really figure out, I dig in with them and ask them the questions that I need to figure out, like, why do they want me in there? Like, what do they really want to get done? Right?
They're in a paper company and they're selling paper, like physical paper, right? So that's their whole thing, which is really kind of funny as well, because how many companies do you know they're just cold calling? Right. You want to buy a ream of paper today, right? So their whole thing is selling paper, and they have to work collectively to do that, right? They've got clients, they've got past clients, they need to get new clients and all this kind of stuff. But then there's all these dynamics going on in the scenes where you got a couple that's engaged having sex inside of the office. You've got other people that are looking to plot against somebody else. One guy who wants to be the manager, but he's never going to be the manager, right? He's always trying to do these things. So you got all these dynamics happening at the same time. What we're really trying to do is sell some paper. Paper. So how do you make all that work? And when you said skydiving, I'm sitting here thinking about, I don't know if people watch the show, but I'm thinking about some of the characters that are on that show and watching them with you trying to skydive, and that would be freaking hilarious episode. But so the end result obviously is for them to work together as a team. And there are some dynamics there. Using this as a fun example, where you have scenarios that are just tough obstacles to overcome with somebody that's involved in an intimate relationship, and you've got other people that are trying to really work their best to step over other people to get to another position. That's all they really want, right? And sometimes people know that's what that person wants, and sometimes they don't know what that person wants. And you got some other people that are just passive aggressives. They're just kind of like, whatever will be, and I'm just here to do my job, right? So to pull that together requires a lot of effort from somebody. So if Steve Carell was hey Naeem, I really need some help over here in my business, right? I got these people everywhere going up. And by the way, Steve Carell's jacked up too, right? He's got all kinds of problems as the leader, and he's calling you trying to get some help because he thinks he's got it all squared away too. And sometimes the guy who's making the phone call needs help more than the rest of the team, because that's probably where it falls short, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So that takes a lot of work. I know I can't tell you to complete strategy what you would do with that. It's kind of fun example.
Well, now that I know they're selling paper, one is you're right. Usually the chokehold on any business is the business owner, right? Which they usually don't want to admit, right? Because they want to control it and like don't let go and all that stuff, right? But so now that I know they're selling paper, I would figure out I'd come up with an interesting way of like, maybe have like that'd be really funny actually, right? Just like I'm sure they've done it on the show maybe as an episode already, right? Like maybe a sales challenge on selling paper, right? It'd be kind of funny. And then maybe set up some parameters and obviously make sure everybody get kind of the goals and the results that they're after. And that'd be funny because I run sales teams here for my company and for PCU too. And so it'd be funny to like I never thought of running a sales team for paper, right? So I wouldn't be running the team, but I'd be coaching them on that, right? So it'd be kind of cool to kind of facilitate that and coach them on like what's the script for selling paper, right? Like what's our pitch? What's our how are we going to do it? Are we going to knock door to door? Are we going to put out some funny ads, right? So that'd be kind of interesting and fun to think about more if I was doing that.
So let's say Bob is on the team and everybody else is doing pretty well, but Bob's having a difficult time meeting any goal. And Bob's trying. He's making phone calls. He's knocking on doors. He's trying to call, old contacts and, bringing back in some cold stuff. But just not able to cross that threshold, what would be some things that you might do with somebody like that?
Yeah, so I'd figure out what's going on in Bob's head and really kind of figure out we're always telling ourselves stories, right? And it's really beliefs, right? He's got some beliefs that are probably popping up that are holding him back. So I'd really kind of ask him questions, really understand they come in the form of stories, right? It's like, oh, I'm not good enough, or I'm not a good salesperson, or it's bad to make money, or paper stinks, why am I working here? Like whatever thoughts he has about all that stuff. And then I'd really start there, just kind of shifting the stories and the beliefs he has. And then I'd also shift like literally his whole physiology and his focus and his language, right? A lot of the things that we're not always aware of internally and also within our nervous system. And kind of like an athlete, right? It's like if LeBron's not shooting his jump shot, you might have like maybe have to tweak his elbow a little bit or tweak his finger a little bit. So same with that. I'd start like it's one thing at a time and seeing what tweak is going to get the result. So that's the cool part. Again, I don't know the answer, and like neither does obviously Bob, but it's a lot of experimentation, noticing what's working, and then continuing to kind of either shift it or improve it until you get the result.
Yeah, no doubt. And one day he'll be making that 3-point shot.
Yeah, yep.
Selling a ream of paper to somebody.
Bob will get the paper contract for the New York Times. He'll be like, dude, I just sold a multi-billion-dollar contract.
That's a lot of paper.
Yep.
That's pretty awesome. So how do you reach out to folks? I know you got a website. We've talked about that. Are you, and I talked about some of the content, are you doing content on a daily basis and you're offering that on LinkedIn and other places, or how can folks get connected with you, and what can they expect to connect with?
Yeah. So all over the place. Like you said in the beginning, I'm all over social media and my website, and I have an email list as well if people opt in for that if they want. But basically they can connect. Well, they can connect any of those places, right? Social media, my website. Those are the best ways. Yeah. And then the content is all about what we're talking about. Right? It's all about mindset, performance, peak. So peak performance too. I'm an athlete. I always loved playing sports. I played basketball in college. So a big part of kind of my ethos and the way I like to train people is kind of like an athlete, right? Every day it's like I have my program for not just for work, but for everything, right? For your body, for your relationship, for your money, for your rest, for your fun, right? So it's not just this one kind of compartmentalized thing we're working on. We're working on everything, right? So sleep is just as important as working your butt off. A lot of people say, oh, I don't need to sleep. No, it's like, dude, you got to sleep right. So when you wake up, you could just crush it and just make it a great day, right? So I treat my body and my mind and my clients as well like they're prime athletes, because we are, and they perform a lot better that way as well.
Well, and when we first met, you looked a little different than you do now. And you had actually, I don't know how long we went, a couple of years now, or at least a couple of years. And you've lost some weight and you've done some stuff for yourself. I mean, so you practice what you preach. So I mean, what point did you think like, oh crap, what's going on with my body and myself? And that you started doing that yourself?
Yeah. So I got into health. So aside from the mindset, I got into like health and fitness back when I was a teenager, right? Because I was playing basketball, I wanted to get better at sports. I was a little overweight too as a kid. So that was a big drive for me. I never wanted to be overweight. It was always uncomfortable and not like cool. Like I didn't feel good, right? Like physically, like, to people, I didn't feel confident, but I also didn't feel good in my body, right? I had low energy and stuff. But I got more into it, like more recently as I'm not really, it's all relative obviously, right? But as I'm getting older, it's less about like lifting tons of weights, which is why I lost some weight. Because before I wanted to have muscle, and I still do. It's fun to have muscle and look good. But now I'm more about like making sure I have the energy throughout my day so I can just perform better at work and perform better for my clients. And if I don't have a girlfriend right now, but when I have a girlfriend or when I'm with friends and family, like so I can be my best every day. So now it's more just about that.
He's single. For those of you that are out there, Naeem is single. He is available.
There you go. Right. And then so now it's really about, now it's like interesting, right? Because my focus shifted from how can I lift so much weight and look good to I want that, but now I'm just like, I stretch a lot. I do a lot of foam rolling. I do a lot of yoga. I do a lot of paddleboarding and surfing. So more kind of things that are going to nurture my body. So I stay like limber and flexible, and I don't hurt myself if I fall, right? Because I'm getting a little more stiff as I get older, I know it sounds crazy coming from like a 34-year-old dude, but I'm a coach.
No,
right?
you're the right mindset, buddy, because I'm not 34 at all. I was 34 a long time ago. I've been married for 32 years, so that's enough. But I will say that that it's so important to do that, and to do that now, instead of my age, then you're much better off by the time you're my age, right? I mean, I've had some major physical battles with cancer and all those kind of things that happened in my body, but take cancer out of the picture, I still wish I could do all kinds of things that I'd probably be better at now if I had been doing what you're doing right now. And it takes a little bit of effort. It takes work. And those are some of the things that you work with folks on when you're coaching and working with them as well. As far as, I mean, you're not like a health coach per se, but you do work with that because you're more a holistic guy. You're coaching everybody holistically, right?
Yep.
So, again, just thank you again, Naeem, for being here today and playing around a little bit with some of the stuff on The Office. So I guess you're going to be the next coach for The Office, and that's going to be kind of interesting to see what happens with them. Well, we might see that in another future episode. Who knows, right? There'll be skydiving with Naeem.
You guys see Steve Carell, he's going to be a totally different dude, you know?
Totally, man. He's going to be the best ever. Best ever. Crazy stuff. All right. So again, folks, you can find him at naeemmahmood.com. That's his website. And then, of course, for those of you that are watching here on LinkedIn, you can just put his name in the search box at the top, and you'll find him right there. And you'll have all kinds of content available for folks there on LinkedIn as well. And I assume you have a Facebook group or a page of some sorts. Yeah. Yep,
absolutely. I got my Facebook page. I also have a Facebook group. If people want to check that out, you guys could just DM me about it. I keep it a private group I want to make sure it's the right people in there. Not that anybody would be the wrong person, but it's for a specific person with a goal.
They're going, hey, by the way, I'm selling car insurance. If you want some car insurance, call me. Thanks, Naeem. Appreciate it. Yeah, exactly. Not exactly what you want, right? No, totally understand that.
But I love the work that you're doing, man. And one of the things that we look for, it's the heart, man. And you really do. I know now we've been friends for 2 years now, right? So I know you're doing it for the right reasons, and you put your heart into it. I know the challenges you've been through. And I know I love that you're taking care of your health so well too. So I'm honored that you had me on the show, and I'm grateful that we got to add some value to people.
Yeah, no doubt. So again, folks, if you'd like to connect with Naeem, he's a fantastic guy. He's got a couple of different ways that he can help you through his own business, of course. You can find him at his website, and then through Performance Coaching University. And he's with Jarek Robbins over there. That's Tony Robbins' son. And they have a fantastic program. That's originally how I found Naeem in the first place. I was really interested and intrigued by what they offer and what they do. So a couple great resources for you if you're wrestling with some things in your life right now or in your business. Obviously, during these tough times of COVID, there are a lot of things that we wrestle with internally in our businesses. And to know a guy who was going through the Wall Street era time and starting out in 2008, the worst possible time you could do anything like that. Yeah. He was able to work on his life and to be able to find exactly what he needed to do and overcome that obstacle. I mean, good grief, isn't that somebody you want to talk to in your life, right? Somebody you can get help from. So, Naeem, thanks so much for being here today on Nat Chat Live and giving us a chance to meet you a little bit and understand how you're having some fun out there in Puerto Rico doing your paddle boarding and your surfing out there.
Yep.
You might be able to even catch a wave today. It looked really pretty outside today there.
Yeah, it was beautiful today. I'm going to get out there later today. I went out this morning. I'm going to go out usually at sunset as well.
Oh, man, I would be doing the same thing, bro. That would be so freaking awesome.
That's part of being a peak performer for me, right? Things like that. But yeah.
Yes, and you're really enjoying things in life like you wanted to, and that's really the key thing. And to see that, one, you're still working, but two, you get to enjoy the work you're doing and live the life you want to in the meantime. So couldn't get better than that.
Absolutely, man.
All right. Well, thanks, Naeem, for being here. Another episode of Matt Chat Live. We really appreciate you being here today.
Thank you so much, Matt. I appreciate it. I had a great time with you, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you.